All right. So, so there is a event coming up on 23rd or 24th of this month, which will be a CTF among the Pan IIT. So Atul said me to give an introductory session on what actually a CTF is and what are its usage in the cybersecurity domain. So my idea is to just brush up on some of the things which are essential for a beginners to go about. And yeah, so don't worry, it won't be too much involved. I won't cover extreme ethical hacking stuff, and I'll be giving some hands-on on a couple of examples as well. And apart from that, I'll be explaining the broad categories. Okay. So before we start, a small disclaimer that this is only for educational purposes, and this might not be used for destruction or anything harm caused to any organization or institute. All right. Okay, so small introduction about me. So I'm in fourth year CS department, and I have been practicing this domain since my third semester or maybe second year starting. So as of now, I have had two internships in the same domain, one in red teaming and one in compliance. Apart from that, I have got second runner-up place in embedded security challenge from CISA, which is one of the best conferences worldwide. And yeah, I do red teaming now, so I have kind of obsoleted this red team thing, I mean CTF thing. And in my free time, I read about bug bounties and CVs, so you can read more stuff about this on my website. All right, so this is on, if you can see this right side picture. So this is a basic outline of CTF. So these are the things, it's kind of a game. All right, so CTF is basically a game. And since each game has its tactics, each game has its plus sides and minus sides, the same goes for CTF. And whatever we do, it has to be on the ethical side, it has to be for learning purpose. And these are the, as you go till the down of the iceberg, you can see these are the least inhumane things you can possibly think of, so you should not be doing that. So I will explain what CTF is, but I wanted to give you an overview on how the CTF works. So there are some challenges which you solve on your own or your team solves it on your own. Then there is this taboo CTF tactics where you kind of exchange flags among the team to defeat some team which has a higher difference than you. And there are much more dirty tactics which you should not follow, and I would not regard them as a good practice. So please don't do that. So yeah, my basic outline for this lecture kind of would be to introduce what a CTF is and what are different types of CTF being practiced, and some of the basic categories of CTFs and why we should do CTF. And if you want to pursue a career in cybersecurity, how you must orient yourself and how you must learn, acquire the skills so that you will be helpful in the industry. And finally, I'll be sharing those resources so you can start if you're interested. All right. So CTF actually means capture the flag. So the first thing when you read capture the flag is something of this sort on left side of the picture. At a broader sense or in a bird eye view, I think it's kind of same thing. So a typical CTF would look something like the picture on the right side. So there is this bunch of people who have not slept for 2 or 3 days, and they'll be working on challenges relentlessly. And this is how a particular CTF looks like. So why this CTF was introduced first of all, and why we should do it. So the main idea remains this, that it's kind of a simulation of real world situations. All right. So where you get a chance to develop and hone your skills in information and cyber infrastructures. So let's say you are working in a company as a IT engineer or maybe a chief information security officer, and there is this hack happens. So we have seen I reckon that you might have always heard this hacks which keep happening to Domino's and Twitter, let's say. And there is this Kaseya ransomware which was released just a couple of months back, which was heavy and it affected a lot of institutes because it used some third-party softwares. So you can imagine the damage it can do to a small hack can do a lot of damage to any of the companies and the companies which are dependent on that companies. All right. So a CTF actually simulates those things. So when a hack happens, how should you respond? How would your approach be? And to develop those kind of skills, CTF is kind of a basic practice to that. It kinds of provide you that game simulation on how you will be able to do. And so why did this industry come up with actually CTF is that they thought that people actually like games and this is a real hands-on learning and it is providing a high impact pedagogy in this industry, so it is providing a lot of impact. So the students or the people who don't even have degrees but are really good at CTFs are actually getting a very nice good jobs, as well as they are able to counter attack and build a stronger defenses against the hackers. So that's what the main motive of the CTF was. Now, why does CTF attract students? All right, so it attracts. See, you might have seen that students tend to use this particular word called hacking, so they're much more fascinated. And mind you, so whatever they show you in the movies or series, so that is not definitely the hacking. So it's not just like you just execute a shell or you just type some random keys over your keyboard and you are just into their system. There is no relation of that. There is much more things involved, and that's what I meant to say over here. The closest series or some thing which you can watch to get a real essence of hacking would be Mr. Robo. So Mr. Robot is one such series which actually brings out the real essence and resonates with the real culture. All right. So in this domain, CTF sessions actually fit anywhere in above mentioned points, right? So it's kind of a drill. It's kind of an overall exercise. Or there is this tabletop thing also. So since there is an incentive of you to earn a lot of money or to come out of at top from other teams or other hackers, this CTFs was in CTF or in terms of game was invented. So yeah, we'll come upon this two types of CTFs there are. So there is this one kind, Jeopardy style CTF, which is actually more prevalent or which is more practiced among the beginners because it has this wide variety of challenges. So to give you a small idea, I particularly myself am very good at web crypto forensics and miscellaneous. So and my other team member might be good at reverse and pawning. So it takes a lot of time and efforts to actually master one of this domain also. So that's why the teams are built in such a way that they can collaborate themselves and do this Jeopardy style CTF. So what are the points involved in this type of CTF is there is a limited amount of time, let's say 48 hours, and you have this kind of scoreboard which is shown in the right figure. The teams will be going up on challenge by challenge and how they have solved it and how their score has increased. And yeah, so basically it's kind of you are given a set of 10 problems and you have to solve it. That's it. That's the easiest way I can present the jeopardized style CTF, and that's how I most probably think it will be on the 23rd of this month. um, and another kind of CTF is attack and defense style. So this actually is something you can think is as a hacking scenario. So to give you a sense, this, let's say there is this one system and there is another system. So in this type of CTF, you actually have to attack the other system, and while attacking, you also have to build your own defenses. So each system will be provided some kind of a flag, or let's say flag is kind of a, let's say, important thing like a diamond to you. So you don't want to lose it while in that process you have to snatch others also. So that's the main style of attack defense CTF which is there, and this actually requires a lot of understanding of networking and firewalls, webs, how web servers are working, load balancing, and many other things. So it's kind of an advanced level. So as a beginner, I would always recommend you to start with Jeopardy style CTF. So some of these famous competitions and conferences are CISO, DEFCON, and HitCons. So where these CTFs, even Jeopardy style CTFs, are also held there. So coming upon this main challenge categories, so there are this main, so all the problems fall in one of this category anyways. All right. So I will be going upon a couple or three of them. I'll show you how they work and how they don't. So till now, does anybody have any questions? Or am I going too fast or is it boring? All right. All right. Okay. So we'll go upon this first category of CTF, which is called cryptography. So by word itself, you can say that there is some crypto involved, or there is, this thing, encryption, decryption. So those kind of things, if you have heard, it falls under this category actually. So it's something like, I hope everybody has watched this movie called Enigma or something, don't remember, which actually involved the Enigma, the Turing something, Alan Turing or something, based on that biography, that movie is there. So there was this encryption which was used by the Germans to send their messages across their armies, and the Britishers wanted to intercept that in order to avoid some of the bomb blasts. So this algorithms were decrypted, and in cryptography many such skills which you need would be heavy core mathematics. So a recent and the most prevalent encryption system which is being used nowadays is RSA and AES. So these two encryptions are wholly and solely based only on maths. So if you know remainder theorem or something of that sorts, then you can actually understand the RSA encryptions and you can try to break them. So if you are in a Jeopardy style CTF, you can always expect a one type of question based on RSA. Okay, so I'll be showing one such question. All right, so okay, let me go to that question. All right, so is my screen visible now? Um, okay, is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Okay, so I just want you to read this question. This is the question titled Modern Gaius Julius Caesar. And this is the question description. One of the easiest and earliest known ciphers, but with 21st century twist. Okay, nobody uses alphabet nowadays, right? Why should you when you have your keyboard? And there is this weird message put down. All right. So, do you guys are getting any idea or anything? You can see that the flag format would be something which is written down, something like CTF, learn, open curly bracket, something, close curly bracket. So this format would go something like this. Okay. So it's just kind of a word play and a small puzzle. So this is one of the easiest questions which I wanted to present so that you get an overall sense on how cryptography works. So let's do it together, all right? So let's see we know that the flag format is going to be something like CTF, learn, open curly bracket and close curly brackets, all right? And it says the word keyboard, all right? So I want you guys to look upon your keyboards and let's see. So the B letter is given as the first letter and we want to achieve C. So we see that it has gone left traversal 2, right? It has traveled 2 keys on the left side. Am I clear? Okay, so are you guys with me or am I lost? Should I explain again? Okay, got it. One person has got it. Okay, following. Cool. So for the C letter, okay, I explain again. Cool. So we want the flag to be something like CTF learn, open curly bracket and close curly bracket, right? So our flag format would be that. Then the flag content would be something which you would get from the question as always. All right. So we know that CTF learn is already given to us and that resonates with the question. So B, capital U, capital H has already been given to us. So I want you all to look upon your keyboards and check where B and where C is. All right, we'll just compare the first letters of the required flag and the given cipher. So we are traversing 2 keys to the left to get C. And for the T, we are traversing 2 keys. For the U part, we are traversing 2 keys to the left to get T. For F, we are choosing H and traversing 2 keys. So you get the pattern, right? So to get the cipher, we look upon the keyboard and travel 2 keys to the left. So this is a smallest possible encryption system. Okay, so you are encrypting your message with some particular algorithm. So algorithm here is move 2 keys to the left, and in such way that you will get the final flag. Okay, if you do this process again, you will get the flag. All right. So that was the idea behind such cryptography questions. So it will involve small puzzle with some wordplay, and there are some advanced algorithms which you will definitely learn by experience. So you'll come to know like base 64 encryptions are there. Let's say Morse code. So everybody knows Morse code, right? So it's just dash and dots. So with that, so those are some very generic type of encryption algorithms out there. So let's move on to another question. Rather another type of category. So see, this is a digital forensics. So what do you mean by forensics? As in, it involves data packets. The internet packets which you use during networks. It may involve some audio files. It may involve some video files. It may involve GIF. It may involve some images and clouds maybe. And so this is actually a kind of which more or less the military and police uses. All right, so it captures the internet packet. It does scan all over the country and try to find some potential words like, let's say, bang, or let's say some grenade, or let's say some blast. Okay, so it potentially searches for these all words and they capture this packets and they analyze it. What's the source, what's the destination, is it malicious, or is there anything suspicious going on, or are there anything so you understand the real world applications of this type of categories, right? So this is the general process of solving this. So you are given a file, you do some analysis or you do some steganography or something, and then you attain the flag. So that's what is the more common methodology to solve these type of problems. So I'll be showing one of these right now. Okay, so we are given this question. So if you guys want it, I can actually paste the link in the chat box. If you guys want to go ahead and try it. So we are given an image in this question. if you all want to see how it looks. All right. So we are given this image over here. If we download that, so there is nothing mentioned in the question as such. All right. So there is no more hints given. Nothing is given in the question for us. We are just given this image, and we are supposed to find a flag. A flag, as in we just have to find such that we have actually analyzed the image, or understood the image properly. So since this image is opened properly, so I can conclude that there is no messed up headers in this. All right. So if I want to give you an idea of what headers is, let's say you have a PNG image or JPG image or JPEG image. They have a particular set of encoded 8 letters in the hex code. So what that hex code actually looks like is this. Okay, so I have uploaded this image on this online hex editor. So if you can see, my image actually has this large hex code, very large. If you can see, it's very big. Okay, and it has some kind of ASCII characters to the right. Okay, so a chunk of hex codes could be converted into some ASCII characters in that way. And what do we call this? All rubbish on this right side is called the metadata. So it actually constructs the image from the core. The metadata actually constructs the any, let's say, audio file or video file or image from the core. So that's what the metadata is. Okay, so the first and most basic analysis of image would start with a command called strings. Okay, so let okay, so we are having this image over here. I have downloaded it for you guys. So this image. So the first and foremost, I want to show you what this actually file looks like. So before you start any challenge, you must need to understand what type of file you are dealing with, and that is done by this command called file and that file name. So we see that it is clearly showing us it's a JPEG image data, and it works according to this standard. It has some aspect ratio, and there are some other tools like exif tool which give much more information on who has uploaded it, at what time it was uploaded, does it have any other information on what type of system or operating system what was this image edited on. Every detail can be shown by other tools, but since this challenge is very introductory, I just want to show you on how it is working. So let's just there is this command called strings which actually throws out all this ASCII characters which you show on the right side here. It shows it up here, all the metadata which consists the ASCII thing. So we'll try that. And as you can see, we found this flag over here in the metadata. So flag, wow, exclamatory mark, data is cool. Okay, so if you just input the flag over there, you are done with this challenge. So I just wanted to show you on how this particular string could be encoded inside an image. So in the real life, if you can see, let's say you have got some email saying that you have won some 10,000 rupees lottery, or let's say you have some 1,000 rupees off on Domino's or something, and you click that link. Now that link might actually download an app, or it might actually execute a shell script, or some encoded data like this, which could actually hack your device. So that what happens in the real life scenarios. So that's the essence of digital forensics. All right. So am I being clear till now? Like, have I lost, are people understanding or not? Because it kind of got technical. All right. So most of the people actually know Ubuntu. I mean, know actually Linux kind of stuff, right? So you can try out these basic challenges. They don't require any external setup like Kali or high-ended setup like servers or anything. You can just try out these basic challenges anyway. I'll be sharing those resources towards the end. Okay. So we will go ahead in our presentation. Okay. So this is the next kind of challenge called web. So it involves all the challenges which are pertaining to websites or web related stuff. So every website, most of the websites have a front end and they have a back end, and there is a web server, and if the back end is involved, there is always a database to communicate with. Okay, so what type of web challenges are there out there? Okay, so you will be given a URL as is shown in this figure, and then there is some um, hodgepodge being done on this website, and finally you get the flag. Okay, so whatever is done in this middle layer is what you have to learn. All right, so it might be cross-site scripting, which essentially means that you have a privilege over the server, and rather than having a secure connection, you are sending the thing which you want to show to the a victim. Then you have this basic SQL injection, which I'll be showing now. And there's many more exploits related to cookie only. Okay, so there are some examples which I have written over here. Command injection is there. Directory traversal is one of the very easy thing which you have shown. Let's say if you have hosted a website on GitHub, all right, or you have developed that website on GitHub, that .git folder is always visible. Okay, it is never like it can always be escalated. It can never be like protected or anything. So let's say if your website is built on let's say iitdh.ac.in itself was built on GitHub. So just doing a directory traversal like iitdh.ac.in /git would actually let you go to the Git folder of that. And there might be many other documents or many information of other students which actually institute might not want you to show, but you are actually able to see them, right? So those type of things are the real directory traversals. Or to give you, let's say you are checking your exam results on, let's say, CBSE website, right? So it would look something like CBSE cbsc.com or something /results/ your roll number. Now let's say you just go two roll numbers ahead of you or two roll numbers back of you. It is, even if it let's say if the website is showing information of other students result to you, it's not ethically correct, right? So it's not according to what they had wished. So those kind of things are directory traversals. And as I said, cross-site scripting is anyways there. So I'll be showing one of these challenges over here now. Okay, so okay, so this is the challenge. Can is it visible? Is it, okay, visible? Okay, so you can read what is there. This is the web page given to us. All right, so we are given this web page. You know what to do. There is this input thing, which is actually and there are many hints given down, like original query, your resulting query. All right, so it means that it is communicating with a SQL database or some type of database. Okay, so when you come to know this type of stuff, the first thing which should come to your mind should be some kind of injection to the database. All right, so we are trying to attack the database and trying to fetch out all the information possible from the database, which is not what a developer would have wished. Okay, so to give you a small example on how query looks, so most of the students who are third year, second year would be knowing on how this looks, but for other people, let's say this query, which I have put in the chat box now, select star from school. So this would essentially fetch all the rows and everything from the school table. All right. So now, according to your developer, what he would want is only to fetch one row for you. And these queries essentially render null if you can just put an apostrophe after it. So it comments out everything. So afterwards, so if you have seen some of the PHP scripts, it would ask you a username and it will ask you a password. Now in that password, you will actually communicate with the database to fetch that password. But in that case, as a hacker, what I would do is that I would put an apostrophe, right? So what it would do is it would nullify, or it would comment out my work being done to fetch the password. So using any random username and some random password, I can get into the database and see everything. So which essentially is very bad in developing that. And not many people in good practice do that. Okay, so coming back to this question, um, so what we have to do over here is we have to find out a flag in some way. Okay, so we are trying to, let's say, find out this inspect element, and we are trying to find out is there anything which hints they have passed out. So we can see there's this line called try some names like Hiroki, Noah, Luke. Okay, so we'll try out, let's say, Hiroki or something. Okay, so it says like 0 results. Let's type Luke. Okay, so it says that name Luke, data, I made this problem. So we come to know that the query, it's taking a name, it is throwing out one of the attributes called data. So now I come to know that this is an SQL database. So I'll just put an SQL injection to it. So this comes by experience. So don't worry about this SQL injection, but the method of approaching should be clear at least. So I'll be typing an SQL query over here. So what this, if I should explain, I'm just commenting something and trying or with some rubbish string, so that I always present a true statement. All right. So this is something called one, or let it be 0, or let it be 1. My final answer would always be 1. So that kind of logic I am using to fetch all the things. So let's do a submit. And as you can see that all the data which was there in the database had been put out, and I can see my flag over here, CTF learn. That is what you need to sanitize your inputs. Okay, so you understand the impact of such SQL injections which you can do. So far so good. Okay, some people are following, I guess some are not. Okay, should I go slow or some inputs? Okay, cool. Okay, so these are a kind of more advanced challenges like pawning and reverse engineering, these both. So I won't be taking much time of this. I'll just explain. I don't have challenges. Actually, I had challenges, but the server seems to be down, so they're not running up. So the Docker service is down. So no problem. I'll just explain it what they are. So a pawning is basically a Linux file given to you, all right? And so everybody has done a basic course on programming, right? So whenever there is a program, let's say C program or C++ program, you compile it, you get an executable, you run that executable, and you get your desired program to run in that way. So that executable itself, and understanding that and exploiting that on terms of how that executable would run on your OS stack is called the spawning basically. Okay, so this kind of more advanced stuff, so the people who have done OS would understand, and those people who have done some advanced courses would try to understand at least. So what we are given an executable, we have to check on how it is reacting to the OS. We have to check some bugs for it, and then you get the finally flag. All right, so I actually wanted to show you by an example, but we don't have it right now. So what do you do by this? You can get an privilege escalation on shells or on the kernels. So sitting here, I can take control of a shell of one of my friends, let's say. So once I get hand of his terminal, I can just SSH it, or SCP it into my system. I can copy all the files, I can exploit all the files how I want, or I can put one of the malwares from my system into his system. So that kind of stuff are real life scenarios of pawning. And yeah, reverse engineering is something that you break down a binary file or an executable file and understand it, the flow of execution of it. So, but essentially the process of execution would be that you are given an executable, you will go back to understand it. Executable is some trash language, it's some gibberish language, okay, and you can't read it. So what some softwares like Ghidra and all this do is they kind of make it easier for you. They convert it in some kind of a C language, some kind of a higher language, so that you can read the control flow, and some control flow would look exactly like the second figure, like a disassembly. So it will go to a main function, then another function, and how the registers are working in the OS, which was assigned to which, what is the value, and those type of stuff. So to give an example on how this affects the real life scenarios is that you have your Wi-Fi, right? Everybody has Wi-Fi's at their home. We have Wi-Fi's at our college. So they run on a particular software or a firmware, okay? And you can essentially reverse that whole firmware. So I can either make the Wi-Fi only only dedicated to my system and stop for everybody else, or I can make it open even for outside IIT people. All right. I can make it open without entering credentials. So those type of stuff is actually done in reverse engineering. Okay, so these are these broad challenges of CTFs I have talked so far. So all this technical stuff is done now. So I just want to explain on why we should be doing CTFs. What is the thing of benefits of it? So there is this thing called goals of CTFs are very simple. Okay, outthink, outwit, and outhack. So you have to think out of the box. You should be very clever in deciding your optimal paths to attack a challenge, and you should outhack your fellow hackers. And if you see in the cyber circle, they do the same thing always. They infiltrate your computer system, and then they'll find out vulnerabilities, they will exploit it, they will ask for some ransom, they'll ask you money, or basically data is gold nowadays. So if they have the control over your data, they can take as much as they want, they can cost you as much as they want. And yeah, so nowadays company actually test the skills. To give you an example, like TCS always holds the CTF competition to induct information security new job recruits in that sense. So it is slowly, the culture is slowly starting in our country, but the countries which are majorly doing it on a larger scale are like China. They have a dark army of that sorts, and there is this Israel, there USA and Brazil, and Germany also has a lot of inputs in CTFs. Okay, so this is the real article which I have taken. It was published on 24th October 2019. So it's not even 2 years now. But as you can see, this person from California has written that 3.5 million, that's very huge number, of jobs are actually not being filled in cybersecurity. We'll be needing those things. So there is, everything is going on cloud nowadays. Everything is becoming so advanced. Like only our institute, since it's a private, organization, we need to have private servers. But otherwise, those company runnings cannot, new startups cannot afford such type of huge infrastructures. So what do? They put everything on cloud, and once the system is online, anything can happen. And let's say you as a developer are, it's very common to use, let's say, some tail CSS, let's say. So if, and many other companies are using tail CSS in their web applications. Now let's say the tail CSS itself was hacked, then the companies, all the companies which are using it, let's say hundreds of them, will be affected due to this vulnerability. So you can understand the gravitas and magnitude of the effect which can be caused by third party application also. Okay, so this is just of India based, I think. So this essentially the same thing, but I just wanted to put an article as well related to India. So it also says that there is a huge shortage, and which will be needing these type of people will be needing in the near future. So this kind of a upcoming boom And but since India does not have such stringent regulations in our country, maybe in the coming times everybody will understand the importance of protection of data and some regulations like GDPR and all. So we'll be doing that slowly. All right, so these are the resources. CTF Learn. So this is one of the very best platforms to start with for a beginner. My current worldwide rank is somewhere like 40s or something in this platform. So I have learned a lot of stuff from CTF Learn. So anybody who comes to me, I will first suggest that. Then is TryHackMe. TryHackMe is possibly one of the best free platforms available there. It does not only provide CTFs but also hacking of machines. So it's very good in that sense. Hack the Box is kind of advanced stuff. So if you are excited, you can do that as well. And RootMe is also basically sort of same as TryHackMe and CTF Learn. Pico CTF is a CTF which kind of runs for the whole year. CTF Learn is also kind of same thing which runs for the whole year. It does not have a stipulated time. It is meant to teach you and make you learn those skills. So it runs for whole year, and over the wire, the CTF is mainly focused on web type of challenges. Okay, so these are the references which I used. Okay, so I think I have covered everything, whatever I wanted to do. So, does anybody have any question or want to ask anything? Okay, it can be a very basic question as well, because I see many of the second year guys and those have joined. So you will be listening to all this stuff for the first time and you don't know how to go about and how to practice. So these are the resources which I recommend: CTF Learn, Pico CTFs, and TryHackMe. So you can just search upon, you can register, and I have this blog on my GitHub repo which you can see upon if you are stuck somewhere. So I've maintained a kind of repo where I put in all the solutions and write-ups to all the challenges which I've solved. So yeah, I think I have covered pretty much everything. So if anybody has any question, you can ask now or drop me a ping or something. Okay, so cool. If you have any more questions on how to go about this in this domain, you can just message me or email me. I'll clear out personally. Okay. Thank you guys for joining.